What happens on your first court date? I'm going to tell you right now. Howdy, I'm Brian Foley. I am a criminal defense attorney in Montgomery County, Texas, and I'm going to tell you what happens on your first court date in Texas. So if you have a court date, I'm assuming it's going to be for a criminal case. That's what we're going to be discussing, either a felony or a misdemeanor case. And in Montgomery County, what's going to happen is you're going to go to jail, right? If you have a court date, that means you've already been to the jail. You were either arrested the day that it happened. We call that an instanter arrest here. Or it was a warrant. It means something happened on some day. They said it was a crime. They applied for a warrant with a judge and they arrest you on some other day on that warrant. They'll take you to the jail. You're going to spend quite a bit of time in the jail. It used to be, pretty quick that you would get in and out, but now it's been taking 24, I've heard 48, 36 hours. If they want to put an ankle monitor on your leg for your release on bond, I've heard it take up to 5 days. I mean, I think some of these are borderline violations of your rights, especially the ankle monitor ones where I've heard multiple days. There's certain rules you have to get what they call magistrated earlier than that. Now, on a misdemeanor case, you're going to get either a PR bond or a personal recognizance bond, meaning you don't have to pay any money to get out of jail, or you'll get a fairly low bond typically on misdemeanor cases. When you get out, they're going to give you a court date, okay? And that court is going to be one of a couple different courts, either County Court 4, County Court 1, or County Court 5. The other county courts don't really handle criminal cases. So once you have gotten all that information, you go to your first court date. What is going to happen? Well, we call these court dates an arraignment. And if you read the Code of Criminal Procedure, it says you're going to enter a plea. Well, you're not really going to enter a plea. You're very unlikely to get the case resolved on your first court setting. There's not going to be any witnesses who are called. It's a really simple process. It's really just an opportunity for the prosecutors and the defense attorneys to talk about all the different cases. You see, the prosecutors have maybe 300 to 1,000 cases assigned to them at one time. If you're in Harris County, it may even be more than that. But they have a lot of cases, and they are not looking at every case of theirs every day, okay? So these court settings are really an opportunity just to force either the defense attorney and the prosecutor to speak with each other about the case. Because a lot of defense attorneys out there will take a whole lot of cases and they will kind of be overworked and not really talk with anybody about the case until on your court date. Especially if you're a court-appointed attorney, they will often only talk with the prosecutors about those cases on the court date. Sometimes that can be effective. A lot of times I think you probably need to be looking at the case before you're going to court. I know at our firm, we always look at the case as the evidence comes in. We are reviewing it. I'll talk with my client, hopefully before court. But if we have to talk on the day of court, what we're doing is normally talking about what is our strategy, what do we want, and do we have any updates from the client? So your lawyer is going to go with you to your first court date. Typically, that is going to be what we call reset. If you may have heard of a continuance, people apply for a continuance. Well, it's not really a continuance. It's not formal like that. It's just a reset. You go to court, you have this court date, talk with the prosecutor, or your lawyer is going to talk with the prosecutor. You're not going to have to say anything. And then if you can't work something out, if you can't get the case dismissed that day or get a really good deal that you think is important to take quickly because of some other factor in your life, then you're going to have more court dates, okay? Why are we having all these court dates? Well, mostly it's to make sure that the defendant comes to court and is going to answer to the charges, not try to flee. And again, to force the attorneys to talk with each other because a lot of attorneys get really busy and just don't do it. So the court is in the business of trying to make sure that the cases get moved along quickly. And so these cases, a misdemeanor could take from 3 to 12 months to go all the way through the process. Sometimes we can get them done faster than that, especially if the client's needs are that the case needs to be resolved really quickly. We may be able to work something out, but you're almost always going to get a worse deal if you go quickly. It's very rare to get a really good deal and also get it really quickly. So that's what happens on your first court date. We don't really enter into the formal plea. We don't have to go in front of the judge. You don't have to say anything. The only time I would really go in front of the judge about something on a first setting is if, for example, on a family violence case, you might have bond conditions, which is like being on probation prior to having been found guilty. These things are required on family violence cases, DWI cases, things like that. If you have a bond condition that is really not workable, like let's say you own your own business, you do it out of your home. Well, if you're on a family violence protective order that says you can't go back to your home, we've got to try to get those conditions amended with the judge so that you can go back to your home, you can conduct your business. So that would be something we might do on a very first trial setting in front of the judge. But again, most of the time, we don't even have all the evidence from the police. That is normally not given to the prosecutors for the first 2 or 3 months of a case. And I hope this has been helpful to you, but that is what happens on your first court date in Montgomery County, Texas. It's really similar in other parts of Texas. In Houston, the court dates are much faster. You'll have your first court date within a few days. In Montgomery County, there's going to be a delay of about 30 days, and it varies for all the different counties around the state. I know in some of the smaller counties surrounding Houston, if you get arrested, you could bond out and not get a court date for a year. I've seen that too. So hope this has been helpful to you. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and give us a call if you need any help. Thanks.